downtown Jackson. Right across the street is the Lean Rocket Lab. And with us today from the Lean Rocket Lab is Marken and Ken Seneff. How are you guys?
Morning, guys.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
Yes.
So you brought some hardware.
Yeah, we saw you about a week and a half ago at the JAMA annual meeting and dinner, and I don't think I've been at a JAMA event that I haven't seen you both at, obviously. But you guys were named Innovator of the Year and Peter Hurst Innovator of the Year. And
Wow.
I think it's kind of interesting because your story, you guys took inspiration, of course, from Mr. Hurst. Talk a little bit about kind of that process.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the story of the Lean Rocket Lab is really pretty neat. It's really a story of how our community came around this concept, this idea, right? And we had actually met Tony Hurst and Karen in the process of creating the Lean Rocket Lab, and became aware of Peter's story. Mm-hmm. Have you heard his story?
Oh, yeah.
I've read his book. It's amazing.
It's amazing,
Yeah.
right? And for those that may not know, here's kind of the Cliff Notes version of the story. So Peter is a German immigrant, okay? Grew up in Germany. He was an engineer, and he had developed a pretty, if you kind of in retrospect, pretty simple but really innovative product, and it was a hose fitting. At the time, you had to have different hydraulic hoses, different sizes, configurations, right? So you had to have a bunch of inventory if you needed to replace a hose. And so he said, hey, why don't we just take a standard fitting, put on a hose. And now you just have to have hose and fitting, and you can make whatever you want.
Amazing, right?
Pretty amazing. And so this was a Jewish-owned German company back in the 30s. And he was, again, an engineer that worked for this company, and they had sent him here to the U.S. To try to get contracts to sell this product here in the U.S. And while he was here in the country, Hitler invaded Poland and started World War II, and the rest of that story. So he ended up staying in the United States and was in New York, trying to find investors and trying to figure out how to launch a company now around this, and had decided to go to Chicago. At the time, the train from New York to Chicago went through Jackson, and in that loop from Detroit to Jackson, he ended up sitting next to a Jackson business person and said, hey, get off the train here in Jackson, stay for a couple days, meet some friends. So they all met at a place called the Town Club, which is at the 11th floor of what is now Henry Ford Allegiance Health here downtown. And over lunch, this group of 10 investors gave him the seed money to start AeroClip.
Incredible.
Yeah. Incredible, right?
Yeah, it's an incredible story.
And so we were super inspired by that story, because you think about it, why did, so AeroClip, back in '99, I think sold for $1.4 billion to Eaton, and now Eaton Aerospace, is here in Jackson, and a huge part of our local economy is the AeroClip, Eaton supply chain, right? So incredible story. So we kind of see that story, we were inspired by it, and we kind of see the Lean Rocket Lab as sort of the guy on the train.
Yeah.
Get off the train, come do it here in Jackson. You've got everything you need. We've got, certainly investors, capital, financial resources, but supply chain. You've got all of the manufacturers and suppliers that you need, skilled labor, and Jackson's a pretty wonderful place on top of that. And so we've just been kind of telling that story to whoever will listen to us, and try to get people to come off the train and come do it here in Jackson.
And
awesome.
Brandon, you guys help. You guys are innovators yourself, but you help innovators from product idea to product launch or service launch. What drives you guys when you first meet these folks with these ideas?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think probably at the core of it is I think we're entrepreneurs ourselves. We still own businesses and are always trying to do things, and so we appreciate that. I think we both personally get a lot of satisfaction out of helping people. Like, I would say we're just like connectors as people. And really the lab is like this amalgamation of people and resources and access to stuff. And so when entrepreneurs come through our front door, innovators, we get a lot of satisfaction out of being able to be like, hey, we can help you solve this problem with this person, help you solve this problem with this program or investor or grant or engineering service, and just kind of help people knock out those objections. And also just the value that you get from being around other people that are trying to do stuff and have done things and are trying things, and we look back in our lives and we're like, man, it would have been a good time to know somebody there, or have somebody help you with that, or shortcut that potential pitfall. So I think we just enjoy that.
Talk a little bit about JAMA and the manufacturing sector in town. We're not a one-trick pony by any means, and I don't know if you guys thought you'd be as involved in manufacturing when you were young kids as you are, but just talk a little bit about our community and manufacturing.
Yeah, well, first of all, we know this. Like, Jackson's a huge manufacturing town, great manufacturing ecosystem. We travel around a fair bit around the state and around the region, and I think I can confidently say that we have one of the most robust manufacturing ecosystems of any place.
Do you hear
Great
that?
to hear.
Hear that, world?
We have 287 manufacturers in Jackson.
Wow.
75-ish prototypers. And really, if you think about it, it can be made here. And it might already be made here to a certain degree. And I think one thing that as a community that's been kind of neat to see is a lot of times you see these manufacturing facilities, right? They're big, metal buildings. You're like, you have no idea what goes on in there, right? And they're doing incredibly innovative things. And so it's been neat to be able to get in and kind of see some of the talent. And we think about technology as like software, all of the web technologies and AI and whatnot. But really, you think about technology happens in these walls in our manufacturers, right? How they can go from, just some raw metal to the products that we use every day is pretty neat. And I think we should celebrate that more as a community. We make stuff and it's cool.
Well, I want to thank you guys so much for coming in today. Congratulations on being named the Peterhurst Innovator of the Year.
Thank you.
Well deserved. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
From the Lean Rocket Lab across the street from JTV, Brandon Marken and Ken Seneff. More of the show right after this quick break.